come up with the titles for the pieces of art?
I don't. The spirit being comes up with the titles. And quite often the title is an adage. Get it right the first time. More than enough. Every day of the year feels like Christmas. How fast is fast. There are belief systems quite often built into the title of the artwork. And it's not always like that. Again, each piece of art is unique, dependent on what the spirit being hopes to achieve, what the loved one is willing to receive. There are so many different components that go into a piece of art, and when someone is purchasing a piece, they know what they're getting visually, but there's so much more that they don't realize they're getting energetically. And even I can't conceptualize so much of what goes on and the impact of the artwork. And an example of that would be, I had a friend of mine come to me and looking for comfort because her 25-year-old nephew had been in a car accident. And as I began to comfort her, this young man's dead father presented himself to me. And he had visited with me before, but he was very persistent this time. And he made a request that I gift 2 pieces of artwork, one to his wife and one to his son, who was currently in the hospital. And so I didn't mention it right away to my friend, but Shorty, that was the spirit being's name when he was here on Earth, was so persistent that eventually I called up my friend and I said, I'm going to gift a couple of pieces of artwork to your nephew and your sister-in-law. Could you package it up and send it to them for me? And she immediately went to work making sure they received the artwork. And so I had never met the young man himself or any of his other family other than my friend. And when he died later that year, I still hadn't ever communicated to the receivers of the artwork. And sometime after he died, I had an opportunity to talk to his mother. And she talked about receiving the crate and the excitement around receiving the crate and the fact that it was mailed from Canada using Canadian screws and they don't have those kind of screwdrivers in the U.S. and the chaos that ensued trying to get the crate open and how she was in the hospital and she had to go get help from one of the hospital workers, one of the gentlemen there, and that she proceeded to tell him that this woman who she'd never met, who was a medium, had listened to her dead husband and had sent this artwork for them. And she said by the time it was all over and we got the crate open and the man packed the art upstairs and we got it upstairs, she said to me, Ellen, it was a good memory. In all of that, it was a good memory. And she went on to talk about how she had felt forgotten and forsaken by her husband, Shorty, and called and pleaded with him for some kind of support. And then, shortly after, she gets a phone call from my friend saying, I have this person that wants to give you healing art. And some would question the use of the term healing art, given that Ryan, the young man, died. But what the spirit world has told me, and in particular Shorty, is not to minimize or discount the support that's required when someone is transitioning into the spirit world, out of the human world, into the spirit world. And the artwork supports those who are staying but it also supports those who are leaving.